Welcome back, everybody, Michigan fans. I know you probably have a big smile on your face at this point in the season because the team is rolling. And with that in mind, we have another episode of The Lab presented by Champion Circle. Of course, please head over to championscircleufm.com. Find out what's going on in the NIL space, how you can support your student athletes, and one that you should support, at least emotionally, but it gives you plenty of reasons to cheer for on Saturdays throughout the fall, is our next guest. Really excited to sit down and have a conversation with my guy, Mikey Sainristil.
What's going on, Jake? How you doing?
Mike, what's up, man?
Man, feeling good, man. Just got the road dub yesterday.
How's the body feel?
Body feels good. I actually didn't play too many snaps yesterday.
Okay.
But yeah, my body feels good. Got some treatment later. So, going to go over there and take care of the little things.
Was that by design, or was that because Junior Colson tried to put a 240 pounds on top of your back last week on the pick six?
It might have been a little bit of both.
A little bit of both. That's great. Hey, we're at that point in the season, man. I'm always curious because each guy has their own Sunday routine, and I think it's cool for fans to hear and learn, like, what is an actual Sunday like. It's a little bit. You're not just sitting on your couch all day, but you're not in treatment all day. What's a Sunday routine look like for Mikey Sainristil?
So Sunday, I'll wake up. I'll take all four of the dogs out. Take them out.
You got 4 dogs?
4 dogs, yep.
What kind?
2 pit bulls, a golden doodle, and a mutt.
So you got, these aren't like Chihuahuas.
No.
These are big dogs.
One of them is mixed with Chihuahuas. She's a retriever, Chihuahua, poodle. I think there's one more mixed. Probably about 30 pounds. And then the golden doodles, that's the smallest dog. It's a mini golden doodle.
Wow. Okay, wait. I'm going to come back to this. I'm a dog guy. I have 2 dogs myself, a Bernese Mountain Dog and an English Lab. So we'll get into it. But after you take the dogs out, what's the rest of the day look like?
I'll go to Shem. I'll have a breakfast, chocolate chip waffle, some eggs, some sausage, hash browns. And then I'll go downstairs. I'll check in the treatment. Guys who played in the game got a, mandatory check-in. Go there, I'll check in. And then, I'll do whatever, treatment I need on whatever part of my body I'm feeling like needs the most attention. After that, I'll get a massage. After massage, I'll go upstairs. I'll eat again, whatever lunch is up there. Or if not, I'll order food in, and then I'll watch film for probably 30 minutes to an hour on the previous game. And then I'll look at the last game from the team we're about to play.
Yeah.
And then the rest of my day, I just go home, relax, watch football.
Yeah, get to decompress, do something that you kind of get away from your role within the game. Maybe not away from the game because it's Sunday, so you're watching the NFL. But I think the reason I asked you that is, and you gave a great answer, because this is a 7-day-a-week job. If you're not doing something every day, you can't look in the mirror and say you're genuinely trying to accomplish all your goals. Like, you have to do something every day, even if it's the bare minimum. But like what you just said, you're describing 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 hours of commitment on a Sunday. You just played last night. You flew in from an away game, and it's that type of commitment that that's required. What's when you go in there? This is a quick question, because are you a cold tub guy or a hot tub guy?
I've got myself to become a cold tub guy this past off season.
Okay. Contrast maybe even? Yeah,
I'll contrast as well.
The program's come a long way for many, many different reasons, but we didn't have a hot tub when I was there. Have you ever heard this story?
No, I didn't know that. I did not know that.
So my first 2 years with Brady, we didn't have a hot tub. We had like a self-filling hot tub. Like the hot tub was the size of my desk. You could fit one person in there, but since it was the only hot tub, we'd it'd be 2 linemen in there. It'd be overflowing. So one day when Coach Harbaugh first got there, we're like playing our first home game, and J.U. Cheston's walking back to the locker room, and he asks Schmitty, the trainer at the time, he said, "Hey, can you fill up the hot tub for me?" And Coach Harbaugh overhears that. He's like, "Fill up the hot tub? What do you mean fill up the hot tub?" So Harbaugh walks back there, and he's like, where's the hot tub? Where's the hot tub? And Schmitty's like, "Oh, well, we don't have a hot tub. That's coming with the renovations." So Coach Harbaugh says, "Renovations?" He's He's like, that's going to take years. I need a hot tub now.
Right
Dude, they
now.
went up, they sent someone to Home Depot and had an 8-person above ground hot tub like assembled and slapped into our training room, like the middle of the training room at the time, overnight. So like I say, you guys have came a long way, since back then, and rightfully so. You guys have earned it. So I was a contrast guy in a long-winded way. I was a contrast guy. Let me ask you this. And I don't want to reflect too much on the past, but do you remember on the road last year? You're playing at Memorial Stadium, right?
Mhm.
Or was that 2 years ago with Hutch and Ojabo?
That was
Blake ate the corn. Was that with
2
Hassan?
years ago. 2 years
So
ago.
that
Yeah,
was
2 years ago.
2021, right?
Yeah.
I was watching a video the other day about that night game, and it was in the third quarter. It was at some point in the game where you guys were down at this point, and Nebraska turned off the lights, and they started blaring music. And you guys, instead of standing on the sideline, came out on the field and danced to the music, looking at Nebraska's sideline. And the key here is you were losing at that point in time. Like, you were not doing this when you were up by 30. You were losing, but the belief was still there. Like, hey, it's us together. It's us against the world. We're gonna have fun with this, and we're gonna go. Do you remember that moment?
Oh yeah.
Can you take us through like that? What is something like that planned, or how does something like that come about?
So throughout the week, of course, we have crowd music playing, crowd noise. I'm sorry, crowd noise, music to show the offense like, all right, this is what you guys are going to be playing in. And so we knew like going into that week, our mindset was make their noise our noise. And so I'm pretty sure at that point in the game, Nebraska had either just scored a touchdown or kicked the field goal going into that fourth quarter. And when the quarter ended, we all were like, all right, guys, like, here it goes. Like, it's about the thunderstrike's about to come on. But we didn't. I don't think many of us knew that they were going to turn the lights off, have the strobe lights, and all the the cool looking stuff. But regardless, we were ready to kind of like we did in Wisconsin that year. Steal their music, turn it into our own. And I just feel like showing the opponent that we may be down right now, but we're confident as ever that we know every man on this sideline is going to put their best foot forward to go out there and win this game, and we're not flinching. That as a home team, seeing that is like, oh man, like these guys brought their business, and what we did in that fourth quarter was amazing.
When you think about that, because there really is, you can see Michigan heading on one path, and then almost in that moment there's like a U-turn, and that 2021 season was the U-turn to head on a different path. As you reflect on it, because there were some years you were here where that wasn't the case. That was not the belief, right? As you reflect on it, what's the biggest difference of a locker room that is okay with embracing that? And it seems like you guys are doing that still to this day versus, the locker room back then, when things weren't going well. And we don't need to call anyone out or anything like that, but just from a standpoint of maybe belief, emotions, conversation, what are some of the differences?
Just, I feel like what we do right now is we speak things into existence. Where Coach Herb has helped turn us into doers, not sayers. We live by the motto that what you do speaks what you say, what is it? What you do speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. Coach Harbaugh says that, Coach Herb says that. And it's like, yeah, you can say whatever you want, but until you put that action out, until you consistently do what you need to do to match what you're saying, then I don't want to hear what you have to say until you show me that you can do it. And so I feel like when everybody has that same exact mindset, when everybody is working towards the same goal, when everybody's putting 100% of what they can do towards that goal, then that's what allows us to have the culture and, be the team that we are right now.
Coach Herb is a guy like, and I feel like he's starting to get more spots of recognition, but I've made the case a couple of times that a strength coach is maybe the most important hire outside of your head coach, because that's your culture builder. You spend all off season with him. What's he meant to the program? What is he like in a, Friday morning 2 hour lift?
Um, he's the same he'd be on a Tuesday morning 2 hour lift.
Yeah.
He's the same he'd be during the winter in a 2 hour lift, or the summer in a 2 hour lift. Like, I've been here for 5 years now, and I don't think I've ever seen Coach Herb. Like, I've never seen him unhappy. I've never seen him mad. I've seen him, yelling, of course, getting on guys about, doing the right thing. But when I say mad, like mad as in I don't want to be at work today type of mad, I don't think I've ever seen him sick or take a sick day. And it's like, if I have a coach who will literally put everything aside to make sure that his players are good, then all I can do as a player is give him the best of myself, and just work with him, because I know that he's going to put his best foot for me and make sure that I'm in the best, situation possible. And it's what Coach Herb does for us is so amazing. And, it's great to see the recognition he gets. And he doesn't, he'll sit here and tell you himself, like, I don't care about that recognition. I don't need the recognition. Like, that doesn't mean much to me.
Just from a leadership standpoint, I mean, everything you say, I can feel what that feels like when you have a coach that carries himself in that way. And it's the assistant staff too. Like, Herb is not going to he's not the type of guy to surround himself with someone that doesn't absolutely believe in those principles himself. Do you remember the moment when you're playing receiver and I'm sure you've told this a couple times, so that pivotal moment where you switch from the offensive side of the ball to the defensive side of the ball? What did you see that coming at all? Like, did you have any awareness, or was it a rigid thing, an immediate moment?
I definitely, like, I joked around about it, with coaches. Like, it was in the air. I never really thought it was actually going to happen. It was just one morning, Coach Harbaugh called me. He said, "Hey, Mikey, how would you feel about playing defensive back?" And I wasn't expecting it or anything like that. I was like, all I said was like, "Yeah, Coach, let's do it." No hesitation. I was just ready to. I was eager to learn and get with the coaches. I was with Coach Adagoki, who was a analyst, I'm pretty sure, a GA at the time. And we got in the playbook the following day.
Wow. So you're a natural athlete. No mistake about it, right? Anyone that watches you play knows that to be true. But what are some of the differences, if you had to look at it and say where you were at that point in your career as a receiver playing at a high level, to then having to start from scratch, not scratch, right? Like, you'd played defensive back throughout your life, but at the college level, what are some of the biggest differences between the two positions?
The biggest difference, one is, you're playing football going backwards. The next difference I would say is you have no clue. Like, yeah, you can anticipate, your film study and everything. You will learn tendencies, but at the end of the day, you don't know what play call is being called. You don't know what route you're getting. You don't know what release you're going to get from a receiver. And it's like, it's a very reactionary position, I would say. But all you can do is work on your technique, perfect your craft, know your playbook, because ultimately that's the stuff that will help you put yourself in the best position.
I always would think, as a tight end, I'm like, hey, I know where I'm going. I know where I'm going. They don't know where I'm going. So I have to sell that a bit. I have to dress it up. So then you have to say, okay, well, like, well, Mikey, if you don't know where they're going, how are you always strapping dudes up? How are you always in great position on the corner route? He could have ran a post. He could have ran a stop. He could have stuck on the seam. When you think about, I would imagine the film study and the playbook study from, hey, these are the 6 concepts they love on 3rd and medium. Here's the 5 they love on 3rd and 10. If it's this formation, here's their 4 or 5 concepts and potentials. How much does that play into it versus, I know your instincts take over at some point, but how do you balance the two?
Like you just said, mentioning the film and knowing that, all right, if they line up in this formation, I know that I'll get this play, this play, this play. Within these 3 plays, I've already eliminated half of their playbook, 3/4 of their playbook. And it's like, all right, this is the formation, but this is the split. That split tells me it's not that play. So I'm either going to get these next 2 plays. And then, you just, after that, you've already dissected the formation. You see what's in front of you. You're processing, all right, now it's time to go be an instinctual player and, go make a play.
Yeah, so that's a cool part of this. Just again, when we talk about how we kind of started the conversation about this being like a 7-day-a-week job, and there's a lot of unsung heroes in the building too. I mean, the scouting department that doesn't often wear the name of coach. I mean, you got a whole section of the staff that spends the entire year scouting opponents. Someone is already scouting Ohio State. Someone is already scouting Penn State. People, the opponents that you played Nebraska last week, someone was scouting Nebraska 3 weeks out and having these reports ready so you can roll, because time is of the essence throughout the week. I feel like you and I know this to be true, of course, but there was a certain point where you go from offense to defense, and that takes leadership, right? Like, to be able to say, yes, I will for the team is something a leader would say. But now there's the aspect of, and I've made this point, you're an emotional leader. Like, when you make a play, it seems like guys get even more excited for you. Like when Mikey makes a play, it's like, yeah, man, hell yeah, we're rooting for Mikey. Is that a fair statement? Do you feel that as a leader, as a veteran? You're captain as well, right?
Yep.
And as a captain, to say, hey, like, I'm an emotional leader of this team.
Yeah, I say so.
Yeah.
Day in, day out, guys see my passion, guys see what I do. And like, my passion is what drives me to, be the player I am. My why is what drives me to be the player I am, be the person I am. And I get to go out there and play this precious game and, showcase that.
What is your why?
My family. My family right now, my future family, my parents, all the sacrifices they've made, for myself, my brother, my sister. All I can do is pay them back with, my success.
Your future family, I assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're saying is you want to be a husband one day and a father one day and a grandfather one day. You want to expand on a family, huh?
Yep.
That's a thought that I just started having now. I'm 28. When did that start for you? To start thinking like that.
So I have a girlfriend, and hopefully one day, the plan is to make her my wife. But I feel like we've had these conversations, of course, and I just want to put as the leader, as the man of the future home we'll have, I want to be able to make sure that my family is in a great position. Like I said, my parents provided for me. My parents did everything in their power they can, and I just want to be able to show them that the way you guys raise your son, he's going to be a great father and a great husband.
Really, if you think about it too, I mean, that's how you change the world. Like, there's a lot of opinions about the direction of the world's going. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it indifferent? But at the end of the day, what I'm hearing here is like, hey, good parents raise good kids, and those good kids grow up to be parents, and they raise good kids. And that positivity becomes a ripple effect that can, effectively spread across the globe. It's amazing to hear you talk, and I think one of the coolest things about these podcasts is to get to dive into some of this stuff beyond the game, because it's no mistake, it's no mystery when the best players on the team are the leaders and are thinking the way that you're thinking right now as a leader. I mean, that trickles down to the freshmen who's saying, man, I want to be like, I'm just a freshman, I'm learning, but I see the way Mikey operates. I want to be like Mikey one day. Like, he handles his business. Was there someone early in your career that you saw operationally and said, okay, wow, like this person's working their ass off and it's paying off on the field and they carry themselves well, I want to strive towards that?
Yeah. When I came in, the guys that took me under the wing, Ronnie Bell, Ronnie was always working. Ronnie's my guy forever. But guys like, Nate Shanley, Jake McCurry, Buck West, those were guys that, I was around a lot. And, they kind of showed me the ropes of, even though we're walk-ons, this is like we've put the work in. This is how things are. And, huge shout out to those guys. B White, those guys, really, they mean a lot to me. And then, guys like Nico, Donovan, Lavert Hill, who's back helping out and, teaching us, coaching us, and, just, Khalid Hudson, Josh Uche, all the older guys, they help. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be the leader I am right now because, what they did, what they, left here, the mark that they left on this at this university, they paved the way. They helped pave the way. Hutch, Jay Ross, everything that they did while they were here helped pave the way for me to be the leader I am.
Look, I don't want to gloss over Hutch or Ross or Ronnie Bell or Nico Donovan. Some of the greats, the big time names, right? We've spent a lot of time talking about those guys. We could have a whole hour episode talking about what they've meant to this program. But you mentioned some of the walk-ons. I played basketball with Shane Lee when I was a vet. Shane Lee was a young guy, a young receiver trying to carve his path. It is so unbelievably underrated. These guys do not get enough credit because when you think about, just for our listeners, look, how does Mikey get good? Well, there's a scout team. How does Chris Jenkins and Kenneth Grant get good? Those dudes are big physical beasts. Well, someone's on the scout team having to give them a look. And you're going to get put on your ass a couple times, and you're going to look silly, and you're going to have to stand up and try again. And it's extremely humbling. But without that, you don't have a team. Without those guys that on the scout team, you don't have a chance at succeeding. When you were with these guys, did that thought ever cross your mind? Like, wow, these dudes typically, like, I remember Shane Lee, like, he was one of the hardest workers. That dude showed up early for everything, stayed late for everything, truly about what he could control. He did everything right within his control. He did everything right. And I just think about that, like, man, maybe he doesn't get the public recognition, but I know we win with that attitude. We win with that mindset.
Yeah, man. The level of respect I have for walk-ons is like, these guys, they pay to come to school. Football becomes a choice for them because, they have to try out for the team, whatever. And then they do the same exact thing you're doing as a scholarship guy. They're doing the same exact stuff you're doing. Like I mentioned before, while paying for school, and they're gonna come in every single day, working their butts off. They're not gonna be late. They're gonna try beating you out of everything it is you're doing, because ultimately they want to play football. They want your spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like guys like right now, guys like Caden Colasar, Caden is one of the hardest workers on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Caden is one of the, he's a leader on the team. He's going to go on, in my opinion, I believe he's going to go on and play in the NFL and be one of the best special teams players. If that hasn't been said, I'm saying it first.
Yeah.
But, guys like that, man, guys like that are so important to any college program.
You're saying so. Do you know the name Nate Ebner?
No, I'm not sure.
So, I mean, it's kind of related because he went to Ohio State, played safety at Ohio State, but really didn't play safety at Ohio State. Actually, he really was a special teams guy. He never got any meaningful snaps, like really few, if any, meaningful snaps. He was just a special teams guy. Well, Bill Belichick, Patriots, took him in, I think, the 7th round, or maybe he was an undrafted free agent. Dude, he won multiple Super Bowls, made multiple Pro Bowls, like carved out a 8, 9, 10-year career. He played for the USA rugby team as well. He's a phenomenal story. And it's when you say that, that's why I had to write this down, because I want to have a conversation with Caden about this, about, hey, like, where's your head at, and how can you do it? And you're exactly right of, to go back, even like there's so much overlap here, to go back when we're talking about Herbert from a culture standpoint, like there's coaches that say it, but the players need to do it and embody it. And all of a sudden, you have guys like yourself, you have guys like Chris Jenkins, Junior Colson. I'm going to name down the list: Blake, Donovan, JJ, Cornelius, Roman, the vets across the O line. If they work hard, that is the foundation. The coaches have to believe in it and set the principles, and your best players have to follow suit. But then when you have these guys that are doing it and they're paying to do it, they're not getting paid to do it, they're paying to do it. All of a sudden, you have absolute alignment within the culture. And look, when the whole ship is going in the same direction, that's good for everybody, right? Because there is alignment. Do you feel, is an alignment a good word to describe it? Do you feel like that is a an energetic kind of imprint of this team in terms of how aligned you guys all are on your team goals?
Yeah, definitely. Like I mentioned, if everybody's headed in the same direction, everybody's working towards the same thing, then everybody's doing their best to, I'm gonna give you my best. Each individual is giving their best. Each individual is maximizing 24 hours towards what we want to do. Then nothing but ourselves can stop us.
Yeah. Now we're getting close to our to winding this down. So we were supposed to interview you before the Bowling Green game, but you guys we went a little long, so we didn't get to dive deep into it. What's your major? I want to make sure. What are you majoring in? What are you studying?
I majored in AMCO.
Okay.
I got my minor in entrepreneurship,
Okay.
and right now I'm in the social work grad school.
Could you why AMCO?
So AMCO. So I wanted to do, when I came in as a freshman, I wanted to do film, television, and media. But the classes didn't align with football scheduling, so that was cut out. I remember talking with Mike Moe about potentially doing like acting classes. Schedules didn't align because I'm pretty sure like all that type of stuff is later in the days. But as a freshman, you have study hall, practice everything, and it never aligns. And then I wanted to do, what was after that? I think psych. And it was psych. And then during COVID, I got put into stats. That was the hardest thing I've ever did in my life. Take stats online. And my interest for stats was very low. Trying to learn that behind the computer while being in my room, knowing that I got my video games right there, I got my TV right there. It was a recipe for disaster trying to take stats during COVID.
Oh man.
And then so I sat down with Kevin, my advisor. I said, Kevin, tell me where my most credits, what major my credits have knocked out the most of. And AMCO was the one that I had everything towards. So I said, all right, you know what, I'm just doing AMCO, get my degree in AMCO, learn some history about our country. And yeah, I finished with AMCO.
What does that do for you? To dive deeper into the history. It's, I mean, American culture, right? That's AMCO. What when you learn deeper into the history of the country, what are some of the things you've gained, the perspective you gained by studying that?
Definitely that, like what you learn in middle school is the bare minimum. You have your your Christopher Columbus stories. You have those are it's like kind of, if you were to look at a football team, I'm kind of put this in football terms. You look at a football team, your star guys will be pointed out, but kind of like how we were just mentioning, there's all these other people and all these other factors that play into that type of stuff. But like, being in AMCO classes, you learn about the whole entire picture. You learn about, these native tribes. You learn about what happened. And I never knew that Michigan was a, native tribe area until I started taking AMCO classes. But yeah, just learning those things and being able to expand my knowledge on, what this country was built upon. I'm appreciative of the classes I took.
Is there any parallels to learning some of that and then entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so so as you learned American history, was there a reason you said, "Hey, I want to, combine this with entrepreneurship"?
No, I always was gonna do entrepreneurship, but
Okay.
no matter what my major was, I have like a entrepreneur mindset a little bit. When I was younger, I would sell snacks in school, sell sneakers, stuff like that. But yeah, no,
Hustler.
I've always wanted to be some sort of entrepreneur.
And then, so the reason I asked, and now because you're also doing social work as well, the reason I asked that I figured, hey, at some point you learn the history of the country, and you see some of the good, you see some of the challenges, the bad, and you say, hey, maybe entrepreneurship really is a means towards creating something bigger than yourself, right? So I was wondering if there was some thought process in that sense of combining some of the rules you learned from each class to move forward, but that wasn't the case. Maybe it could be, right? Like it always could be. The door could always be open to it.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I know that everything I do in my life it's not, yeah, you have to think about yourself. You got to take care of yourself, of course, but what I do, I feel like my calling is for a much bigger purpose. It's not for me, it's for the people around me. I've always been a person that puts those around me before myself. And ultimately, I want to be able to make a change. Even the smallest change, I don't, the size of what I do doesn't matter, but as long as I know that I can do something to help impact people, then, that's a win for me at the end of the day.
When I get the chance to talk to you guys like this, man, it motivates me to be better. Like, what am I doing? How can I do more? You guys are unbelievable leaders, Mikey, and some of the other players that we've had a chance to talk to on this show. Before I let you go, I want to ask one question here because we were told your mom and Coach Harbaugh are like good friends.
Yeah.
What's the story behind that?
My Coach Harbaugh made my mom a promise when I was being recruited that, if Mikey comes to Michigan, he'll be taken care of. I won't let him down. I won't give up on Mikey. I'm gonna make sure, he becomes a good man and a good football player. And, when you promise a parent that, especially a parent like my mother, she's gonna believe you. She's gonna believe you. And, for these 5 years, 6 years that Coach Harbaugh has known me, I can say he's kept that promise.
Yeah, and that's how a friendship's built too, right? Is making the promise and keeping it. Awesome, man. Well, that's great. Thanks so much. I know we kind of got into your Sunday routine. So this week, the Sunday routine, you added in a episode with the Champion Circle U of M. This is the Lab. So appreciate you popping in, man, and having this conversation. Really looking forward to seeing you continue to grow and blossom and keep elevating that ceiling, man. Elevating that ceiling. You guys got business to handle this year, but I'm looking forward to seeing you at the combine next year and seeing how high you can go, man. But of course, handle business as you know. Thanks so much, Mikey. Really appreciate your time. And thank you guys for tuning in. Again, this is a weekly episode. This is the Players Podcast. This is the Lab, the leaders and the best. So as you guys tune in, reach out to myself on social media or Valiant, Champion Circle. Maybe give us some questions you guys are interested in hearing about, and we'll talk to the players about it for you. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week.
Appreciate you, Jake.